friends. This week we are going to learn how to build chords around the single string C major scale that we learned last week. This is going to utilize 3 shapes up the fingerboard, so it's not a whole lot, but there's quite a lot of movement going on here. To start off, each scale degree is going to have a triad or a 3-note chord that we can build upon it. And it's going to be comprised of the root, the third, and the fifth. So the root will always be the name of the chord itself. Since we're in the key of C major, we are going to be starting on C and build the first chord around that. So the root of the chord is our C on our open C string. And then we're going to just count up to find the third. So we have C, D, E. Always remember to count the root as 1. So E is going to be our third, which is naturally just our open E string. And then we're going to need our fifth to get going. So we're going to go C, D, E, F, G. G, another open string here. So for our root position C major chord that we're going to start this scale on, we can just put down our regular old root position C major, third finger on the third fret of our A string here. Now as we move up, our next scale degree, if we recall, is D. So around this we're going to do the same thing. We'll count up D, and then it is F is our third, and then A is our fifth. So we can use our root position D minor chord here, because what we're worried about is keeping the root or the name of the chord as our lowest note here so that we still hear the scale going up our C string. So our D minor chord will be 2, 2, 1, open. Now I want you to voice this with your third finger on the G string, your pinky right next to it, and then your second finger. I'm going to show you why in just a moment. As I said, we're just going to utilize 3 chord shapes so that we're keeping the notes going in the same linear fashion the entire time. So our next chord, if we go up after D, we have E. So we want to find our root, third, and our fifth of E. So our root is E, and then we have G and B. And this is going to provide us the same exact voicing that we used with D, but we're going to need to add 1 finger because we do not have a open string to play with here. So if we recall our major scale, open, 2, 4, so we can take this D minor shape and move it right on up to the 4th fret, put our first finger down on the 2nd fret of our A string. That's replacing where it would be if we didn't have an open string here. And that again, this is our minor chord. So far we have C major, D minor, then we shift that voice up 2 frets. There's our E minor. Now our next chord is going to be F, and this is our 4 chord, which means that it's always going to be major. So it's going to be F, A, and C. And again, we're going to play the same voicing that we did for this C major, well, nearly the same voicing. But we don't have these open strings, so we can take our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers, and you can slide them up. We know our F is on our 5th fret here from our scale, right? So we can put our fingers like this on the G, C, and E strings, our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers right here. And then we need to make up for that open string again, right? In C major, we couldn't play the C, we had to play it up here. So we're going to grab our C, our 5th of the chord, on the 3rd fret of our A string here. So it's going to be 5, 5, 5, 3 is our F major chord. Now if you note this chord voicing, as we talked about the root, the third, and the fifth in the beginning, the third is what tells us whether it is major or minor. And when we have this voicing, we can really begin to visualize that. So we said it's always going to be root on the C string. We're going to have our third on the E string, and our G is our 5th on the G string here. So when we have this, it's still root, third, 5th, right? So if you want to hear the difference between a major or minor chord, all you need to do is move the third down 1/2 step or 1 fret. So you can see that this voicing that we're using for E minor, all we need to do is move the note on our E string up 1 fret, and there's our major chord. F major, F minor, and all we're doing is moving that third. Now as we go up the scale, we're going to G next, and that's going to be a major chord as well. So it's going to be the same exact shape as your F, just moved right on up to the 7th fret. And then we're going up to A after this because our musical alphabet ends at G. Our 6th scale degree or A in this case, is going to be the same exact minor shape, except it's going to be on our 9th fret. So we're going to use our D minor, E minor, and A minor are going to be all the same exact shape here. Now, our last chord that we need to talk about here is our B diminished chord. When we go up, we spell this B, D, F. And if we listen to these notes, that is neither major nor minor. This has a flatted third, like what would make it minor. But also, if we were playing a minor chord, we would have that F sharp in there, but we don't. We have an F natural because in the key of C, we have no sharps or flats. So this is going to be our B diminished chord, and this is going to be probably the hardest voicing in the entire thing. And again, our root, again, is on the C string, but it's going to be on the 11th fret with our pinky. Our third will be on the E string, as always, and that will be the third finger on our 10th fret. And then we're going to play the 5th. It'll be on both of our outer strings. So your second finger will play the 10th fret of the G string, and your first finger will play the 8th fret of your A string, which will be our F. So there's our diminished chord. And then we can finish out on our major chord shape on the 12th fret. So that would be 12, 12, 12, 10, and that's the same as our C major scale. So you can play this whole chord up and hear how the chords sound together. You want to get used to the sounds of major, minor, and diminished chords so that when you're listening to music, you can pick out the values of those triads. And once you're comfortable with that, we can start to address 7th chords and even more fun harmony. So this gets us up the C string, and I've posted a worksheet on Patreon with how all of the chords are put together, the voicings that we're using up the C string, and all of our scale degrees, so that you can remember this and start to play it up and down the neck. After this, we're going to start working up our other 3 strings, doing the same exact thing and finding chord voicings that let us play that major scale up the string and thus create different inversions of our chords. I'll see y'all next week.